started telling Arjuna why he should fight the war. And one of the arguments he gave was that you are the soul, not the body. And there's no perfect happiness in this world. Perfect happiness is in God. So just do the right thing. So here Arjuna is saying, and keep in mind, Arjuna's a saint. He's not really confused about anything. He's asking for us, because we would have the same question. So here Arjuna says, Krishna, so have you ever heard anyone say, oh, everything is God, it's all good, it doesn't matter what you do? Have you ever heard anyone talk like that? No? You have? Some people have that kind of philosophy. They think nothing matters because God is everywhere. So it doesn't matter what I do, what I think. So Arjuna is kind of asking a question along these lines. He's saying, why does it really matter if I fight this war? There's no perfect happiness in this world. The goal of life is to find God. So what does it matter if I do my duty or not in this world? Can't I just run away? So Krishna gives an answer. Lokesmin dvividha nishtha pura prokta maya nagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. He said, Arjuna, I've talked about two different ways that a saint can live in the world. See, a saint's mind is where all the time? Yes, with God. So, whether a saint is in the jungle or fighting a war, his mind is only in God. It doesn't matter to him. So, Krishna tells Arjuna, it's okay if a saint is in the jungle, his mind is in God. If a saint is in the middle of doing some kind of worldly thing, his mind is still in God. Both are fine for the saint, but he didn't get like that. He didn't attain that perfection of always having his mind in God by doing nothing or by running away from the world. Running away from anything doesn't solve anything. This is what Krishna is teaching him. So what he explains to Arjuna is that your mind is always active. So let's say you try to think of nothing. Can you do it? You can't. If you're trying to think of nothing, then you're thinking of nothing is what you're thinking about. You're always thinking of something. The mind is always busy. So why is it always busy? That's the answer to number one. Because it is always busy looking for happiness. That's why it's always busy. Whose mind is at rest? A saint's mind is at rest. Why? Yeah, he found perfect happiness, so now his mind doesn't need to do anything except enjoy that happiness. So who can do nothing? A saint. Can an ordinary person do nothing? Number 4, the answer is no. So our actions are kept track of by God. And He's looking, why did this person do this thing? Was his reason good or bad? And then all of our actions, everything we do, are qualified or categorized as good or bad according to what our reason for doing that was. So a saint doesn't have any reason left to do anything. He doesn't have any worldly reason. So no matter what a saint is doing, he's not going to get the consequences for what he's doing. You get the consequences according to your motivation. So whatever we do, we have some reason for doing that. A saint doesn't have any reason left to do anything. We'll get to why a saint does things later. But for us, let's say you choose to do nothing, meaning, let's say you're a police officer and you see a crime being committed. Now you would think a bad action would mean you would have to do something bad, right? What if the police officer chooses not to do something, meaning he sees a crime being committed and he says, I'm not going to stop it. So he didn't do anything, right? How can you say that's bad? He didn't do anything. He was just sitting there. No, even that counts as bad. So let's say Arjun decided, I'm not going to fight the war. He didn't do anything. How can it be bad? No. His duty was to do something and he didn't do it, so that's bad. So just by saying, oh, I'm out of here. I don't want to be involved in this. It's too hard for me to deal with. Imagine the situation Arjun was in. He had to fight that war and all those people he knew, and he was ready to just walk away and say, this is too much for me to deal with. I'm out of here. That would have been a bad action because it was his duty to do that thing. So even in a hard situation, we still have to do the right thing, even if it's hard. So Arjun was being convinced by Krishna that this is the right thing for you to do. Now, according to what we choose to do, our actions are put in 4 categories. This is number 5. There are 4 kinds of karma described in the Geeta. You know what karma means? Raise your hand if you know. You know what karma is? Avi, what is karma? It's not in there. Actions, yes. Karma, the word karma means action. So there's 4 kinds of karma or 4 kinds of action described in the Geeta. One is just called karma. If you just say karma, it means good karma, good action. That's number 1. So Anurag, read to me what that means. Number 1.
Doing good action, doing one's duty with worldly attachment.
Ah, good. We'll get back to that in a minute. Number 2, vikarma. These words, I think, are going to be in your Jeopardy, so you might want to try and remember them. Vikarma means doing bad actions, abandoning one's duty. Number 3, karma yoga. And number 4, karma sannyas. So if Arjun had fought the war with a desire for people to think of him as a good person, or because he wanted to get a reward in his next life, he was doing his duty, right? With a desire to be rewarded in the future. Which one of those 4 would that be? Karma, vikarma, karma yoga, or karma sannyas? Yes?
Karma sannyas?
What were you going to say? Karma, that's right. The first one. If Arjun had ran away from the battlefield because he just didn't want to deal with it, which one of the 4 would it be? Yes? Vikarma, that's right. What Krishna advised Arjun to do was which of the 4? The third one, karma yoga, which means to do the right thing but without being attached or without desiring to be rewarded in the future, just remembering God and doing your duty with a desire to attain God, not with a desire to be rewarded in the future. And number 4 means, let's say someone is thinking of God all the time but not involved in worldly things. Like, let's say there's a saint whose mind is always absorbed in God. But that saint doesn't live in amongst us or interact with people in an ordinary way. The saint stays away. That's called karma sannyas. So what are the consequences for those? Number one, you should know, right? Raise your hand if you know what is the consequence of doing karma, which means good action. Yeah.
Go to Swarg.
You go to Swarg, or you get a good destiny in your next life. Yeah. You can put go to Swarg also. Let's put both.
That's what I was saying.
If you do vikarma, then what happens to you? Raise your hand. Yeah.
You go to Nada and you get a bad destiny.
Yeah, and or. Like you would go to Narak and or get a bad destiny in your next life. If you do karma yoga, then what happens? Yeah.
You're in the divine world?
Yep, that's right. You go to God. And what if you do karma sannyas? Any idea? Yes, you also go to the divine world because your mind was in God all the time, so you also attain God. Yes.
If you always think of God, will you go to God?
Yes.
Oh.
Is between Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas, would the Karma Yoga people get a better experience in the divine
Both
world?
get the same thing in the end.
I have a question.
Yes.
What about akarma?
Akarma is another way of saying karma yoga. Akarma means no karma, which isn't possible technically because your mind is always thinking of something and every thought counts as a karma. So what becomes akarma? If your mind is attached to God, whatever you're physically doing, you're not going to get the consequence of that. You won't get a good destiny for doing a good action if your mind is attached to God. You get better than a good destiny. You get to go to the divine world. And all of your destiny is wiped out. So that's akarma. When you're physically acting in the world but not getting any consequence for it because your mind is attached to God, that's akarma. So, turn to page 2. Here Krishna describes about how a saint lives in the world. We covered some of this already. An ordinary person performs actions because he wants happiness. That's number one. The saint has found happiness, so does he have a reason to do anything? Nope. God is the form of happiness, so does he have a reason to do anything? Nope. So then why would a saint come in this world? Why would God come to this world and they perform all the actions, but they're not supposed to have a reason to do any action because they already have happiness? We do all the actions because we're looking for happiness. What possible reason could God or a saint have? Yes?
To help us.
To help us. That's right. So they perform actions to help other people find God. That's the answer to number 4. So Krishna says in this chapter to Arjun that one of the reasons that he performs actions is so other people can follow those actions, meaning he sets the example and we can follow after him. But not all of Krishna's actions are meant to be imitated by us. So in 5, we'll write a few things we can follow that Krishna did, and in 6 we'll write a few things that he did that aren't for us to imitate. For instance, let's just move down to 6. Krishna stole butter. So since he's God and he stole butter, does that mean it's okay to steal? No. Then why did he steal butter? No. That's a good try, but that's not why he did it.
He was hungry?
No. God can't be hungry.
He was trying to interact with the gopis.
Yeah. Imagine if you were living there at that time and Krishna was living near you and you thought, wouldn't it be neat if Krishna came to my house and stole butter? He snuck in my house and I came home and found Krishna in my house. So some of the gopis, they used to want Krishna to do that. So to fulfill their wish, he would go and do that. So he's God. He knows what everybody is thinking. And those gopis are saints. So they had that desire for Krishna to come. So he came and did that. And also what Mallika said, we can remember those leelas. When we think of Krishna stealing butter, it makes us feel happy. It makes us smile. And it gives us a way to think of Krishna in a fun way, not just a serious way. So that's one of the reasons that he does those things, but that doesn't mean we're supposed to imitate him. He also lied to his mother. No, mother, I didn't steal the butter. That doesn't mean it's okay for us to lie to our parents. But when we hear about that, it's cute, and we like to think of Krishna doing that. What else can we think of? Yes.
Stole the gopis' clothes.
Yep. What are some of the things he did that we can imitate, that he was setting an example that we could follow? Yes.
He was nice to his brother?
Yeah, good. He was nice to his brother and his friends. Yep.
He kept on doing that, you know, like when the gods do that, they like pray for something and then he do the same thing. Like, he do the same thing so you can go.
But what did Krishna do that we can imitate?
He can do, yeah, some gods do their yoga and then
I don't know if Krishna did yoga when he was here. Do you know of him doing yoga? Think of something that you know he did. You've seen it, or you heard a story about it. Yes.
He got rid of like all the bad people.
Yeah, that's good. He also gave a lot of charity. He helped poor people. Yes.
He was brave.
Yes, he
As
was.
in he got the ball from the not cutting out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he can play music.
Yes.
He plays his flute.
Yeah, but think about something good he did that we could imitate. Giving charity, being nice to his friends.
Being nice to his mother.
Yeah, that's a good one. And how do saints help us? They're in the world trying to help us. What do they do to help us? Yeah,
They teach us.
good. They teach us. They explain things about God to us. Okay, now page 3.
At the bottom was there supposed to be an answer?
No. here Arjun asks Krishna, why do people do bad things even if they know it's bad, but they go ahead and do it anyway? So Krishna says, Kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhava. He says it is kam and krodh, means desire and anger, which make us do wrong things, even when we know it's wrong. Yeah. Then he explains why we have desire and anger. He tells us what the three qualities of Maya are. And I'll give you the Sanskrit term. Quality in Sanskrit is guna, G-U-N. That's written in the question part. But the three qualities are sattva, raj, tam. TTVA. Tam, T-A-M. Sattva, raj, tam. Raj. Do you know what those three qualities mean? Anybody else? You know,
I heard sattva, but I don't know what it is.
do you know what sattva is?
It's like doing good actions, like good.
No, it's just a quality.
Well,
It's we use it in terms of action. We use it in terms of many things. So sattva means good.
And then
Raj means
well, it's normal. Like,
yeah,
the
in
middle.
between, and tam is evil, bad. So these are the three qualities of Maya. Anything made of Maya has those three qualities. What is our mind made of? Number 3. Maya. So what 3 qualities does our mind have?
Good, evil,
Yeah, all 3. Neutral, you can say, is like selfish. Let's say if the sattvic quality is active, then you'll be good. If tamas quality is active, you'll be bad. And if rajas quality is active, you won't be good or bad, you'll just do something for yourself without hurting or harming anyone. Hurting or helping anyone, I mean. Now, Kam comes out of Raj, that middle quality, Kam, desire, it comes from Raj, that's number 4. So here Krishna is saying the desire to enjoy the world. Like let's say you're thinking, right now I really want ice cream. Is that the sattvic, rajas or tamas quality of your mind? Rajas quality. That's right. That's right. So from Raj, from the rajas quality, all those desires come. Now, unfulfilled desire leads to anger. That's number 5. And let's say you have a lot of desire for something, or a lot of anger because of something. Then even if you know it's wrong, you might go ahead and do it anyway. So in your mind, you have the ability to know this is right, this is wrong. But if your desire is too strong, that will cloud it. So Krishna says, A, just like a fire is covered by smoke. B, a mirror by dirt. Mirror. and C, an embryo by amniotic fluid. These are examples Krishna gives. So what happens, let's say you're in a normal state of mind, so you know it's wrong to hit someone. But let's say anger has overpowered your mind. Now your ability to reason is clouded or impeded by what? By the anger. Now you think, yeah, it might be wrong to hit him, but I'm so angry, I'm going to do it anyway. So you knew it was wrong and you did it anyway. Why? Because of the anger. Or let's say you really want something, but you can't have it. If you want it badly enough, you might steal it. No, everybody knows it's wrong to steal. Why do they do it anyway? Because they think, I just want that so badly, even if I have to steal, I'm going to get it. So the desire the desire clouded his thinking. So either desire or anger can cloud our thinking, and then we do wrong things. Think in your own head. Has there ever been a time you did something wrong because of desire? Did you think of one time? You have? Even if it was a little thing like something your parents told you not to do and you did it out of desire for something. Or out of anger, can you think of something that you did out of anger that was wrong? It's okay, you don't have to share it. Think in your own mind. So this is the effect of desire and anger. But and Krishna gives another example in number 7. Worldly desire keeps growing, just like fire. Like a fire that just grows and grows and grows. That we talked about yesterday. I'm almost done here with the kids. Adults, if you want to follow along, you can turn to the bottom of page 3. We're covering why do we do wrong things. So who can answer number 8? Conclusion. Yes. That's right. What are some other negative things that we have in our mind other than, give one. Jealousy. Malika. Hate. No, negative things. Okay. Greed. That's a good one. What's that? Oh, cowardliness. Fear. Yeah, that's another negativity of the mind. Yeah. Anger. We already covered anger and desire. Then that basically includes everything, but sometimes we also talk about jealousy, greed, hatred, fear. So these are the negativities of our mind. But the interesting thing is, just go back to Kam and Krodh, desire and anger. Where did Krishna say that those come from? From the Rajas quality of Maya, right? And what is our mind made of? Maya. So it means our mind is made of those qualities, the good and the bad. What are some good qualities we have in our mind? Yeah. Compassion, generosity, honesty. Yes. Sharing, that's good. Honesty, yes. So these good qualities are also qualities of Maya. Which quality would you say they'd be associated with? Sattva. And then Kam and Krodh with Raj. And then Tamas quality, you could say like hatred and really bad things would be associated with that. So those qualities are where? Lift your hand if you have an answer. Yes.
In the mind.
They're in the mind, right. And our mind is made of Maya. So what if we decide, let's get rid of those qualities from our mind? You'd have to get rid of your mind to get rid of those qualities, because those qualities are what your mind is made of. Your mind is made of Sattva, Raj, Tam. It's a question of which quality do you activate. Make the sattvic quality get more active, more powerful. Or make the rajas quality get more powerful. Or make the tamas quality get more powerful. Which one do you develop? That's your question. You can't just get rid of it. You can't say, I'm getting rid of the tamas quality of my mind. You can choose not to develop it, but it's always going to be there. That's why even a good person does bad things sometimes. And even a bad person does good things sometimes, because the good and bad qualities are there always in the mind. So turn to number 10. How can we remove the negative things from our mind? We can't, but there's a way to make them become less active. And that is by attaching your mind to God. That's right. That will purify your mind if you attach it to God. Then the negative things will gradually become less, and the positive things will gradually become more. So it means God is divine. So if you attach your mind to God, then that purifies your mind. So even though your mind is still made of Maya, but the good qualities will get developed more and the bad qualities will get suppressed the more you attach your mind to God. But one question: is God under Maya or beyond Maya? That's number 11. Beyond Maya. Is your mind under Maya or beyond Maya? Right. So how can you think of God then? If God is beyond Maya and your mind is under Maya, in fact your mind is made of Maya, how can you think of God? Shouldn't you have to have a divine mind to think of divine God? Right, He's divine. Your mind is Mayic. But a saint has a divine mind. That's why a saint can see God. God's right here. We can't see Him. Why? Because we don't have a divine mind. We don't have divine eyes. So a saint has a divine mind. A saint can think of God. We don't have a divine mind. How are we going to think of God? It's a good question for tomorrow. Yes. Tomorrow I actually will, yes. So that's where we finished today. Now you can go next. Do you have any questions before you go to play Jeopardy? Okay, go ahead. Do any of you have questions about that part? So, in the beginning of this third chapter, Arjun again asks the type of question that we would ask.
Sorry, it's a general question. Radhe is also name. Correct me. Radhe is also name of a Karna. That's right.
That actually, his mother's name was Radha.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the same Radha, someone with the same name. So, in the beginning of the third chapter, Arjun asks the same kind of question we would probably ask in that situation. Normally, when we get in a tough situation, we think about running away. Just, hatao jharda. I'm getting myself out of here. I just can't deal with it. It's too difficult to deal with. Imagine can we even imagine ourselves in that situation that Arjun was in, that he had to deal with? So naturally, he asks Krishna that, can I just run away? I mean, you just told me this Sankhya philosophy that, I'm the soul, I'm not the body. There's no perfect happiness in this world. I should just attach my mind to God. So then what does it matter if I do my duty or not? Let me run away. So Krishna answers, Lokesmin dvividha nishtha pura prokta maya nagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. Hey Arjun, in the past, pura prokta, I have described two different ways of nishtha. Nishtha means having your mind attached in God, meaning a saint. A saint lives in the world in two different ways. From the inside, he always has his mind attached in God, and physically, he could be involved in worldly matters or not involved in worldly matters. But that's for a saint, one who's already attained siddhi. That saint has his mind in God, so none of his physical actions are going to bear fruit. Karmically speaking, he's not going to be rewarded or punished for his karma, because we get the reward or punishment based on our attachment. If we're attached to a sattvic thing or a rajas thing or tamas thing, then we get a sattvic outcome or a rajas outcome or tamas outcome. If our motivation for doing something was good, we get a good reward. Rajas or tamas, we get a bad reward or a punishment. But if your mind is attached in God, you don't get any binding result of your karma. So you don't get sattvic, rajas or tamas result. So this is the state of a saint all the time. We're in that state sometimes, to whatever extent we're remembering God and desiring for God. During those moments, we're not doing any worldly karma. During the rest of the time, we are. So a saint has perfect nishtha. His mind is always in God. So the saint could live in the world or not be involved in the world. That has no effect on him. But, he explains, na karmana manarambhan naishkarmyam purushoshnute na cha sanyasana deva siddhim samadhigacchati. Arjun, the saint who's living a renounced life like a karma sannyasi, he didn't attain that state of perfect union with God because he left the world. He might be out of the world, living in the jungle, but he didn't attain that state of perfection by leaving the world or because he left the world. His mind is in God and he's out of the world, fine. And the one who's in the world, who always has his mind in God, he's naishkarmyam. It means nothing he's doing is being counted as karma. He's doing akarma, even if he's doing all the physical actions, because his mind is in God. But he didn't attain that state by doing nothing either. Both had to do something to get there. In other words, what he's saying is running away is never the answer. That doesn't solve anything. nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krit. Hey Arjun, your mind is always active. You might run away and go to the jungle. It doesn't mean you stop doing karma. Every thought counts as a karma. Every moment we're thinking of something, so every moment we're doing some kind of karma. So whether you're here or whether you're in the jungle, you're doing karma every moment. Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyachara sa uchyate. And if someone controls his senses and his body and denies himself everything in the world, but from inside he's only desiring for those same things that he's denying himself, Krishna says he's mood and he's mithyachari. He's a fool and a hypocrite. Now we're all hypocrites to some degree until we attain God. But what Krishna is saying is that just denying from the outside is not the answer. We have to find some way to fix ourselves on the inside. So just going to the jungle and running away from everything doesn't mean you're going to get God realized. The point is, find a way to attach your mind to God, whether you're in the jungle or whether you're here. But Sharirayatra pichate na prasidhyeda karmana. Arjun, you have to do something at least to keep your body alive. You think you'll just do nothing? Nobody can do nothing. Even a sannyasi has to do something to keep his body functioning, feed it, clothe it, shelter it. So we all have to do something. Nobody can do nothing. This is how Krishna answered the first part of his answer to Arjuna. Now he goes into a little more detail, talking about why people do things. So it's a slight change in topic. Is there any question about what we covered so far? Oh, there's a couple blanks on that first page. Why is our mind constantly active? Because we're in search of happiness. We haven't found happiness yet, therefore our mind is busy every moment looking for happiness. And whose mind is at rest? Only a saint's. What has replaced the saint's desire for happiness? The experience of happiness. So the saint still has a mind, but now instead of using the mind to look for happiness, he's experiencing happiness in his divine mind. Before we change the topic, I'll just review a summary that I gave you here on the top of page 2 for the 4 kinds of karma that Krishna describes in the Geeta. Because it helps us understand the consequence of karma, the consequence of attachment of our mind. So the 4 kinds are karma, vikarma, karma yoga, and karma sannyas. Karma itself means action, but in this case, karma means good action. So doing one's duty, being a good person, but with a desire to be rewarded for it, by either going to Swarg or getting some appreciation or getting a good destiny in our next life, that's categorized as karma. Ignoring one's duty or doing bad actions, that is vikarma. Doing good actions without a desire to be rewarded, that's karma yoga. And not being involved in the world physically, but having the mind attached to God, that's karma sannyas. So the karma yogi, notice I said not having a desire for a reward, but doing good actions. The only way this is actually possible is if we're desiring for God. So the karma yogi also has to have his mind attached to God. Because we want happiness, right? If we think, is it possible just to do a good action without any desire? It's not possible. We want happiness for ourselves too. So we have to have that part being fulfilled by our attachment to God. So we should keep seeking happiness, divine happiness, from God. Don't think that you have to give up the desire for happiness. So physically observing one's duties and doing good actions in the world with the mind attached to God and therefore not having any desire for a reward in the world, that's called karma yoga. And extracting oneself from any kind of worldly interactions other than looking after one's basic physical necessities and keeping the mind attached to God, that's called karma sannyas. The first two kinds of karma are binding, the second two kinds are not binding. Karma and vikarma are binding because good action with a desire for reward or good action with attachment in the world, that's binding. Bad action, of course, is binding. Both keep you in the cycle of birth and death. Good action or bad action, both are binding because you have to be reborn to get the consequences of those actions. You may be reborn here, you may go to Swarg, you may go to Narak, but you're still under Maya. Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyas take you beyond Maya, take you beyond the bondage of karma and the cycle of birth and death. Because both the karma yogi and the karma sannyasi has their mind attached to God. So what consequence will they get? God realization. So although the karma yogi and the karma sannyasi have very different looking actions physically, the karma yogi is actively involved in the world, the karma sannyasi is not interacting very much in the world. Physically they're very different. But their attachment and their motivation is the same. God realization. They're attached to God. So they both attain God. Both the karma yogi and karma sannyasi. No difference in their attainment. Just a difference in how they physically lived in the world. So the point of all of this is that the main thing to ask ourselves is, where is our attachment? Leaving the world doesn't mean we're going to be attached to God. And being in the world doesn't mean we can't be attached to God. Both are possible. We can be in the jungle and thinking about the world, and we can be in the world and thinking about God. We could be in the jungle and thinking about God. We could be in the world and thinking about the world. So with our mind we can do anything. It might be less distraction, you could say, to be in the jungle and try to think about God. But how many people are ready to take sannyas? Very few. So don't think that just running away from everything will solve anything. It won't. Wherever we are, we have to figure out how to make the best of that situation, which means attaching our mind to God no matter what our physical situation is in the world. This is one of the central messages of the Geeta. So any question about these four kinds of karma? Now Krishna says a couple of interesting things about his reasons or a saint's reasons for doing things. So let's say we have a saint who's God realized. So the saint is experiencing God's happiness, perfect happiness. So we would think that the saint has no reason to do anything, and in fact that's what Krishna says. Yastvatmaratireva syadatma triptascha manava atmanyeva cha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. The saint has nothing more to do because he's attained divine happiness and divine knowledge. So what does he need from this world? There's nothing more for him to know that he doesn't already know, because he knows God and everything is under God. So if you know God, you know everything that's under God as well. He's attained unlimited happiness. So what more is there for him to do? There's nothing more for him to do. Krishna says for himself, Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptamavaptavyam varta eva chakarmani. Arjun, I also have nothing that I have to do in all these three worlds. There's nothing worth attaining that is not already attained by me. Yet I also perform actions. So saints have no reason to do anything, but they perform actions. God has no reason to do anything, but he performs actions. Krishna tells why. Yadyada charati shreshthas tatta devetaro janah yat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. One answer is that he says people will imitate my actions. So if I come in the world and set a good example, then people will follow that and they will go in the right direction. They will move in the right direction. So like when Ram came, he set the perfect example of how a son should do his duty, how a husband, how a king, how a friend should. He followed all the dharmas to perfection. He was the perfect example. When Krishna was in Dwarika, he set an example of how a ruler should behave, how he gave charity to people every day, how he listened to his advisors and made rulings. And he set a perfect example while he was in Dwarika of being a husband, ruler, father. But not all of God's actions and not all of a saint's actions are meant to be imitated. Some of them are. In this verse, Krishna is saying, I perform actions so that people can follow those, because people imitate the actions of great personalities. But are we supposed to imitate Krishna lying to his mother? Mother, I didn't eat the soil. Are we supposed to imitate Krishna stealing butter, stealing the gopis' clothes, doing ras with the gopis? No, those are not actions that are meant to be imitated by souls. We have to distinguish between the two. Some actions are meant to be imitated, and some actions are merely for our remembrance. Meaning, when we close our eyes and think of Krishna, what should we think of? You might get bored just thinking of Krishna doing charity in Dwarika. How much meditation will you do on that? But there's a leela of Krishna going out to graze the cows with Balram and the other Gwalbals, and he sneaks a little bit of dirt in his mouth, even though his mother has told him not to. And then Balram was irritated at Krishna because of something else. So he said, this time today I'm going to tell on mother. I saw you put that dirt in your mouth. Come with me. They took him to Mother Yashoda. He said, I didn't eat the dirt. He's lying to his mother. So this kind of thing, especially for a parent, when you have children and you see Krishna is also behaving like this, he's not setting an example how to behave. What he's doing is he's performing such a leela which will entice your heart, so that you can also love him by remembering those sweet, naughty leelas. The gopis all desired for Krishna to come, that he should come to my house and steal my butter. Imagine if you were living there at that time and Krishna came to, let's say you came home and you caught Krishna in your house stealing your butter. What a thrill that would be. So Krishna used to give that thrill to the gopis. These are not actions to be imitated, only remembered, lovingly remembered by the devotees who wish to attain Krishna. So we can differentiate between the two. Those that are meant to be imitated and those that are just meant to be lovingly remembered and meditated upon. So there are a couple blanks on page 2. Why do we say that there is nothing more for a God-realized saint to do? Because he's already attained perfect happiness. But what reason would a saint have to perform any action in the world? To help the souls who aren't God realized yet. That's actually the only reason a saint has to do anything. Was Maharaji referring to that in the speech today? Did he give the Puri example? No. Maharaji has an example he uses when he talks about this. He says, like when you're heating butter to make ghee, the butter makes sound, pat, 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 as the impurity gets heated away. But then as all the impurity, all the water in the ghee gets heated off, then it becomes more quiet. Pat, 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 and then it becomes quiet. Then, if you take that ghee, it doesn't matter how much heat you put on it, it's not going to make any noise. But if you take a raw puri and put it in there, now it's going to make noise, not for itself, but to cook the puri. Then you take the puri out, it becomes quiet. Put another one in, it keeps making noise until that puri is cooked. So a saint is quiet like that ghee until there's something to do for a soul to help that soul become God realized. When the soul becomes God realized, nothing more for the saint to do. So a saint's actions in this world are motivated by the desire to help other souls attain God. The saint has nothing more to do for himself. So in this third chapter, again Krishna gives the advice to Arjuna. Yuddhasva vigatajvara. Give up this confusion, give up this emotional state you're in and fight the war. How? Mai sarvani karmani. Offer all of your actions to me. Do your duty of fighting the war, but offer all your actions to me. Meaning, I'm the goal of your life. Think of me as the soul of your soul. I gave you life, so you should want to attain me. Desire for this, and do all the good actions. Meaning, do your duty in this world. Arjun, fight the war, but keep your mind attached to me and offer all your actions to me. So, now at this point, after Krishna has given him this advice, Arjuna asks a question. Why do people do wrong things even when they know it's wrong? And you heard the very end of my explanation to the kids. Krishna answers, there are two things that are the enemy in this case. Kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhava. Kam, desire, and krodh, anger. These are the enemies, and they are both born out of rajogun. The mind has three qualities. Sattva, Raj, Tam. Actually, Maya has three qualities. Remember I said on the first day, our soul, God, and Maya are the three eternal tattva, the three eternal existences. So, God has divine qualities, and the soul is also divine. Maya has material qualities. Sattva, Raj, Tam. Sattva means good quality, Raj means selfish, and Tam means evil. Everything Mayic has these three qualities. So our body has these three qualities, and our mind, which is also Mayic, has these three qualities. Or you can say, is made up of these three qualities. Like, let's say you have a piece of material made of three different color threads. White, red, and black. Sattva, Raj, Tam. So, the cloth itself is made of Sattva, Raj, Tam. You can't say it has Sattva, Raj, Tam. Can you take the thread out and keep the material? No, the material, like you can't see the individual threads, you just see the cloth. But it's actually made of those individual threads. So the mind is made of Sattva, Raj, Tam. This desire for enjoying the world, that comes from Raj. And then if you're denied something that you want in this world, then Krodh comes from that. Krishna says, Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya param manah manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe paratastu sah. Your senses, your mind, your intellect, man and buddhi. Man means your emotional mind, buddhi means your intellect with which you discriminate. All of these three are made of Maya. There's something beyond Maya. God is beyond Maya. But your mind is Mayic. So you can't see God because God is beyond Maya. And all the negativities in the mind come from Maya. They're innate, inherent in the mind. You can't say, get rid of anger. You have a material Mayic mind, you're going to have anger. Until God realization, everybody has anger, jealousy, desire, all the defilements of the mind. Kripaluji Maharaj says that sometimes people come to him and say, Maharajji, everything is fine, meaning all the bad qualities of my mind are gone except for one thing. I get angry a lot. So Maharajji says if anger is there, all the other bad qualities are there too, because Maya is there. So as long as Maya is there, all the bad qualities are going to be there. So no one can have just one fault of the mind. We have all the faults or we have no faults.